Right, hello. Welcome back. It's a fine Sunday afternoon. In the deepest, darkest Wales. Even though it's not very dark, it's very sunny. As you can see from the sunlight twatting me in the face. I just got back from a weekend away. Went to the Grow Room in Gloucestershire. And it's a quality establishment. I had a good leg session there. It's on a rest day for me now. So I was just going to run through some stuff I'm doing today, which is some more. I'm going to just go outside and instead of doing... I might do some actual cardio later. But my dad needs a load of logs chopping, because they're having a wood burner installed. They've also got a fire in the living room, which is used many an evening to keep them warm, rather than the actual heating, because fucking energy prices are well expensive at the minute. So I'm going to go do some of that, just smash up some logs, because I want to as well. It's kind of fun. And then I'll probably run through some stuff tomorrow in terms of what I'm actually doing training-wise, because I've been reluctant to pick up the camera because I've been a lazy little shit with it, and I should obviously get to it. So I'm going to start filming some more stuff for YouTube and trying to do a bit more, because it's good, and it sort of gives me a way, because when I do the Q&As, I'm sort of just like talking to everybody anyway, and just sort of using that to like, I don't know, chat. Whereas I can just do this and get the same thing without having to respond to people's questions in a dickish manner, which I do anyway. Yeah! Just gives me another avenue to do stuff with. Get on with it, and I'll show you these big old pieces of wood that I'm going to chop up. Alright, so we've got to establish the correct footwear, which is obviously in... Everybody's got a fucking shoe cupboard, of course, don't they? Some old-ass fucking steel toe cap boots, which we've had for a fucking millennia. So I can't be wearing Crocs whilst I'm doing this. Rather dangerous. So let's slip these beauties on. So, obviously this is the gaff. Moved... Where did we move here? Parents moved here sometime last year. I can't remember the exact date, because I'm useless at those sort of things. Obviously you can see I have a quite a pair of sunglasses because it's bloody... It's very fucking sunny. So I'm just going to go get the weapon of choice. It's not in there. It's got to be in the other one. One axe. Comes with a case for some fucking reason, I don't know why. Health and safety gone mad, that's what it looks like. Got it a few weeks ago because we had a really old one, which was obviously a bit shit. So we've got a new one to do all these logs with. Water, essential in cardio such as this. So yeah, I've got the garden here, and this is the stream which comes attached to the house. We're moving the driveway to that gate, because it currently goes backwards that way, which is a bit inconvenient. So yes, we'll walk down. Fuck me. Fucking mountaineering all the way over here. A nice little stream. There was a load of decking which went where that fucking shed is, which was all supported on the side of here, and it was completely rotten. So doing all that, obviously Simon, father, went and fucking disassembled all that shit, and it was incredibly dangerous, but there you go, dad things, they love doing that shit. So part of the reason I'm doing this, but fuck me, these wedges are rather large. None of this 7-inch heel dropping you see on Night Sound. What the fucking size of these bastards? Very large log, so we'll be finding one to base all the others to split on, and then twat them all apart basically. So, well, hey, load of fun. Right, this one will make a nice base for all the others to smack. Let's give it a go. These are going to be very fucking heavy. Oh yeah, I wasn't wrong. So these were huge trees which were here before. Dad's come along with a massive chainsaw and chopped them all up. So what we need to do with these is, normally you see people just like quarter these, but we need to split them into 16 because the log burner's not that big. Let me just re-angle the camera. So yeah, got to work on the camera skills with this. When you're smacking these as well, you want it to run along the grain of the wood. So you've obviously got where it's been cut as well. You've got some nice lines to follow. Generally with tree trunks, they've got a load of rings through them, and that's how you can count the age of the tree in terms of years, apparently. But you've also got these lines which run straight across like this, and that's the line you want to be cutting from, because if you go the other way, it's going to be very difficult. But these will probably be very difficult to cut anyway, even if it is a good axe, because they're fucking huge. Smack this tree like a gun. Nice, spongy as fuck. They're just wet. Yeah, that's going to be really hard to break. Alright, I said that, and then it wasn't. Right, so that's in half now, and I need to go one here, one here, one there, because they're fucking massive. And again. And then one more. And then that's 1/2 done. To be fair, this axe has made things a hell of a lot easier. And I'm sure if everybody's watched enough of fucking Thor Bradley's TikTok, the guy who does all that fucking log splitting, as I'm sort of also capitalising on that thirst trapping with my own, you'll know that there's a load of different types of axes, and this is a splitting axe. As you can see from the shape of the head, a chopping axe would be wide and would be very thin. This has got a lot of weight here, so we can get a lot more power behind the axe to split it straight through stuff. Whereas a chopping axe would be coming at the side, we're coming straight down on top. You can also get machines for this, which is a lot less sexy, but a lot easier. So I've used one. I used to work for a tree surgeon when I was a lot younger, when I was like 16. And I operated one of those before. They're pretty fun, because you're dealing with like hundreds of things, hundreds of logs that are like these size in a day. You just got to get through them and make them really small, because they use them for selling. For obviously like this time of year and that sort of stuff for people that have got log burners. So it just means you get through it. Efficiency of labour, rather than have a bunch of lads swinging these around. I mean, obviously you learn how to use an axe as well, but it's not necessarily the most efficient way of doing things. We just got to chop these up real small so they will actually fit in the fire, otherwise they're not going to. Don't think it's going to be warm enough for me to take the shirt off today. The shorts are a good choice. It's the thing with this kind of weather. If you're doing activity outside, shorts and t-shirts okay. It's more of a sort of shorts and jumper kind of temperature right now. Been a very weird October, very fucking warm. Very thankful for the 1MR shorts. Plug, sponsor, Ken 10, get him a 10% discount. They're also really fucking good. I really like these shorts. More of a, I wear a lot of black rather than green, but I think they come in black and green. So I've got both. There we go. Yeah, it's been a very, very warm autumnal period. It's already, well, the date today is the 30th of October. So it's essentially Halloween. I didn't do fuck all for Halloween, because I don't really drink anymore. Good. That's embarrassing, isn't it? Just completely missed. Hopefully Spooner will find some useful clips in here, because I'm not about to edit this shit. Because I don't know how. It's definitely equal that size. That's what she said. Or did she? Do they ever really say that? Do they ever say it's the right size? Or is it just always disappointment? Who knows? Then maybe that's just my experience. This is still one fucking tree. This is one. I'm just splitting everything up properly. Good thing I don't have any back injuries at the minute, otherwise I would not be doing this. Go the other way. Take the fucking Apple Watch off here. Proper rock on my wrist. Oh. So when you see those videos on TikTok of guys chopping straight through logs, one, they're probably a lot better than me at this, and two, that wood will be stone dry. See all that? It's just the problem. This bit here is absolutely sodden, so that's the reason why it's so difficult to get through. We'll see if it's easier. No, it's split, but it might not be. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Still trying to stick together there. See that? Want some more on that. I mean, we could go again on those, but it's not really worth it for how long it's going to take me. Like, that is quite large. It's
still, but like fireplaces aren't tiny, so you should be all right with that. So they're not, I mean, I say it's damp, they say they're wet, but they're not overly wet. They're just big pieces, so they're going to be difficult to break. They should burn up nicely. It's funny with this stuff, manual labour. It's just nice to do sometimes. Like, if you have the ability to do this, obviously living in London for such a long period of time. For me, I know 3 years isn't that long in the grand scheme of things, but being a country boy, coming from this end of the woods, this part of the country, you do this sort of stuff all the time. My dad's very outdoorsy. I grew up doing a fair amount of outdoorsy things. So just being able to come back and do this is almost like therapeutic. And I know as much as the whole thing of like, what does it mean to be masculine and all that bollocks. I think you decide that for yourself for one, and it's whatever you define it to be and whatever you like doing. So if you like playing video games and you're good at them, I'd say that's pretty masculine, but it doesn't fucking matter what it is. You can do ballet and be very masculine. So if you're good at something, it doesn't mean that being good at something means you're masculine, but it's just what you associate your manhood to be with. Anyway, me rambling, I don't know, I sort of have a connection to a bit of manual labour. It's sort of a very dad thing to do. Mowing the fucking lawn, splitting logs, using power tools. It's just a bit fun, isn't it? It's just fucking, it's one of those things that as a kid you're like, yeah, cool. It's like that same urge to be in the army or a fireman when you're a child sort of translates to this sort of stuff as an adult. So, because you can actually do it as an adult. When you're a kid, if you're able to split logs like this, then you're probably a freak of nature. Funnily enough, I was able to split logs like this as a teenager. I know a lot of people would like to be like, oh, he's a genetic freak. I was like, I don't really know if I am. I definitely put on muscle easier than most people, but I also work harder than, I think I work harder than quite a lot of people at the gym. Just from my observations of regular people, not other bodybuilders, regular people in the gym. I would never claim to work harder than other bodybuilders because I think we all work at a pretty similar capacity, not gonna lie. I mean, in order to put on that amount of muscle anyway, you've got to be working fucking hard. There's hardly, people say that Phil Heath didn't work hard. I think he just had very good connection to his muscle, like his internal connection. Internal stimulus must have been very high, which meant he didn't have to use a lot of weight, and it was probably better for him in the long run in terms of, you know, mitigating injury risk. So I think it's all sort of, are you a genetic freak and all that shit? It does come down to how you like to work. And maybe some people's observation of you as a bodybuilder will just be misinformed in terms of what is hard work and what isn't, because it's pretty obvious. Phil Heath, if you ever watched any of his workout videos, trained fucking hard regardless of the weight he used. And on some things he was using shitloads of weight, so whatever. Anyway, I think it would be rude to the man in the street for me to say I'm not genetically gifted. And it's particularly in bodybuilding. I know I have good shape and that sort of thing. So again, it might be, but I think it's better to not consider yourself having genetic gifts unless you've like got a tiny waist and it's really, really evident. I think it's just better to work and just get on with stuff rather than being like thinking you're genetically gifted, even though there are guys I know who are very genetically gifted and they still work hard. So I just think the conversation's not really needed, because then you're still judging people on your perception of how hard their work is. I think a lot of people would be like James Hollingshead, not the most genetically lifted guy out there, and I'd say bollocks to that, because I know James. He worked fucking hard for what he's got, but he's barely ever had an injury in his life. I think he's got an iffy shoulder, but that's fine now, and he's worked his way around it. But it depends what you define as, again, genetic gifts. But like James' ability to put on muscle is insane. So, but he does work hard. So I don't know. The whole genetics argument is a strange one for me, because there's so many factors to it. I think purely labelling something as your innate ability from birth to do something isn't useful. There's too many factors at play, and if you really want to say, how do I get as big as somebody like this, well then you probably look at their methodology rather than being like, I can't do it because I wasn't born like that. Like, that's not a useful answer for anybody. So when people, I think there are some components, particularly in classic, which require a lot of genetic traits, like a small waist. Something I'm afraid you can definitely train your waist in terms of a vacuum and doing certain abdominal exercises like Russian twists to certainly bring your waist into appear a little bit smaller, and obviously make your shoulders bigger, your lats wider, your quad's bigger, but ultimately your waist size is your waist size. So structurally, bone structure is going to be dictated by birth, which is the one thing you can't do anything about. So in terms of classic physique, if you've got a thick waist, you're probably going to find it difficult unless you can make yourself enormous. But even then, you're going to have to be very tall because hell, oh, that's going to bruise. That really fucking hurt. Oh, of course. Did legs yesterday as well. Owie. Oh well. It's that proper, like, not quite as bad as getting twatted by a Razor scooter, but like that may as well have been. Ouch. To wear shin pads next time. Lol. Where was I going? But yeah, having a small waist is going to be one of those things that's going to help you a lot in classic. So I'd say, in terms of your genetic traits, with open, you just need to get huge, which in itself is very, very difficult because that's the nature of bodybuilding. And obviously you need to still have a pleasant pleasant physique when you're there. You can't just be a bulbous ball of muscle, because if you end up being a fucking absolute gremlin, then everyone's going to know you as looking like a fucking gremlin. You're probably not going to win anything because the guy who looks more graceful is going to be more preferential in terms of his ability to sell the sport, which is what they're looking for really. So it's one of those, isn't it? Like genetics. It's pretty easy to summarize. It's the same with all things. If you're very good looking, you're going to do better, regardless of anything else. So if you have a very good looking physique, just in general, from the off, fucking hell, I bleed like that now, then you're going to do better than somebody that looks ugly as fuck, which is sad but true. I don't know how the camera settings work on this. It only films for half an hour at a time. I'm going to need to get the handbook out and have a look. I think that the whole genetic argument thing is, it's a bit redundant really. You work hard, whatever happens, happens. Same thing with what age you jumped on gear. You can make all the excuses in the world, but at the end of the day, the judges do not care what you took, how long you took it for, and what it did to you. All they want to know is how you look on stage and compare it against the other guys. So that doesn't mean you should go hell for leather on gear and just take whatever you can to look a certain way, because that won't actually get you anywhere. You'll just end up probably with a myriad of health problems and not be in the sport very long. So the whole thing with bodybuilding, it's all about patience. A bit like trying to chop through a really big piece of wood, because it's going to take you a while to weaken the fucking thing, and eventually you'll have put enough work and time in that it will eventually break. And I don't know whether that is a good analogy for managing to get a fucking pro card, but if I break this log, when I break this log, it took a lot of hits, it took a lot of swings, it took a fair amount of effort, but we got there in the end. I know I've spoken about the whole road to pro thing before. I don't really think there's many people out there who still use it, because it got so fucking mean and everyone was like, just shut the fuck up. If you're gonna keep going, if you're gonna get there, you'll get there. You just have to keep chopping away. And it does mean, once you have chopped the first major hurdle, hopefully the other hurdles appear to be a bit smaller. But once in a while, you need a new log to split in life. So maybe that initial big log split is your first class win, and then overall win, and then fucking, you know, then you get to a pro qualifier, and then you have another class win on the pro qualifier, and then you get to the overall, you mull around in the overall a few times, and then maybe you get to the pro card. But it depends on the day. So sometimes it's been raining, the conditions aren't good, and you're not going to be able to split the log that day. But you can always come back another day when it's drier and things are a bit nicer, and you'll be able to do it easy peasy. Or not. And sometimes it fucking bites back and hurts you. Anyway, enough with my analogies. I love chatting shit on these things. I don't know what it is, it's all this internal monologue that goes on in my head, spewing out. I'm sure Mr. Spooner's going to have a great time editing this. Because I am going to send it to him this time, because I can't be arsed editing things myself, because I don't know what I'm fucking doing. I also can't be arsed with the time. Like, I didn't start YouTube as a young man. So I never learned all the skills. I was out fucking, just in the gym being the typical dungeon dweller, training as hard as I could and being generally fairly autistic. I'm not autistic, by the way, as far as I know. No, in terms of plans for next year to compete in, the whole plan at the minute is to make this big Kent a more classic Kent. So sitting around 100 kilos at the minute. I've done the whole get as big as possible, as quick as possible after a show, and we don't really need to do it again considering my weight limit changes due to my shortness. So I just need refinement at this point, which I think I've had a good think about it in terms of what that means. And in terms of what that means in terms of bodybuilding, I think the fun part, the immediate reward part of bodybuilding, in that sense after a show, in a sort of, not to be rude to the guys that are doing this, because I know them, I know some guys who are, but the immediate rewarding thing would be to get as big as possible, as quick as possible, get strong as fuck. Oh shit, let's not do that again. Get strong as fuck and, you know, be making ridiculous gains. But for me, what I found particularly with being with Vicky, and being told off for having off-plan meals, is that if you want to turn pro, you're going to have to hold yourself to a higher standard, at least I am, in order to get there, because this year wasn't it, and I was working hard, but I was working hard alongside other things. Now I don't have those other things to think about. I have the potential to work harder, I have the potential to be better, so why not take it? Why not, you know, go at it full bore again, but from this new position of you have the ability to work harder. So, you know, in terms of off-plan meals and that, I haven't got any planned in at the minute, and I am in an off-season. You know, technically I'm in off-season. I know I keep referring to it as the post-show phase, but I think mentally that makes it a bit easier for me, being like I'm still in a certain phase where I have to maintain a higher quality, a higher standard of physique, rather than just being like, fuck it, I'm gonna eat everything. And I could have done that. I could definitely have done that and got fat really quick. But the benefit I'm seeing now from it is obviously, you know, a better quality of physique, a better standard physique. I'm not having the issues that are associated with putting weight on really quick, like lower back pumps and joint problems, like as in like just aches, general aches and pains, being out of breath and all that shit. I'm still able to go and do stuff. I feel relatively fit, and it's all good. I feel good. I'm still getting times when I'm hungry, but hunger is a perfectly normal sensation for anybody. I think there's bodybuilders, especially post-show and after prep, but like, I don't want to feel hungry again because it's such a ruthless feeling, and you felt it for so long. You just want to get rid of it, but you need to, you know, harden your mind and go, well, hunger is just normal, and sort of learn a few things from it and stay in the struggle, as hard as that is. And as many people around you who are not involved in the sport want to be like, you need to get healthy, you need to do this, you need to do that, and it's like, it's all your perception of what that means. We have coaches to guide us through this stuff. They have been there before, they have done this, and they know what to do with all their other athletes. So you should try and listen to them. It is hard, especially if you're still working and you're getting invited out to act out and all that shit, and you need to do that. You need to get back into things, you need to have your time off. But you've also got to appreciate that a 2 or 3 week all-inclusive holiday where you gorge your face is going to be the exact opposite of what you will want right now. You know, you need to have like a few moments here and there, but generally stay on the plan, because you've made all these minute micro changes for months on end, and now you're going to go and completely flip everything on its head and, you know, go the extreme the other way and eat 6, 7, 8,000 calories a day and think your body's going to cope with that. Well, it's not. You're just going to put on a shitload of fat and water and be a bloated mess, and then have to do a diet when you come back, which you don't want to have to do. I've had to do 2 weeks of sort of like very, very strong, perfectly on plan, and it's worked, and I feel a lot better. And I'm not having to worry about being watery and all this shit. So you will have to have periods, especially in off season, where you push and where you back off. But the post-show phase, for me, in terms of the reference ones I was just going for then, just saying like, holding myself to the higher standard now of sticking to the plan and not having off plans as frequently as I'd like or want, you sort of have to consider, well, what's the actual goal? Why are you doing this? Why are you paying your coach close to £300 a month in order to do this? It's like, well, you've got a goal. So as much as the immediacy of you thinking a burger would be nice today, you can have a burger, just make it yourself. Don't go out to Five Guys. I know that's effort, and you're like, I just want Five Guys. But just listen to how that voice in your head sounds. This isn't wanting to break. Just have a listen to how that sounds. Like, oh, I just want a Five Guys. That's like, I know it's cliche, but it's kind of weak to have that attitude. And I know, like, as I said before, you need to have breaks, but like, I also want to push my limits. I also want to find out how far I can go with things. And people say, you know, an off-season shouldn't be a prep, but a successful off-season is done to the letter. So there's all of these sort of like little sayings that we have as bodybuilders to excuse ourselves from things, especially in the off-season. Be like, you need to chill, you need to relax. It's like, yeah, but if I get ahead now and I stay ahead, then I'll have earned those off plans when they come, because they do come. They do arrive. And you have to have earned them in that sense, whereas just running straight into them, being like, it's fine, you're just going to cut your off-season short. I'd much rather have them when I know I can and have earned it, rather than just be lying to my coach or having an off plan and then just not, and then telling her about it and then just being like, I'm sorry, I slipped up, because that's shit. It's a shit excuse. And like, if I want to go for a pro card, I know the whole thing of like, you've got to act like a pro. I know a lot of the pros are a lot more lax with it, but like, look at like a video of Hunter Labrada. I remember watching a video of Hunter Labrada, and he said he did an off season for 6 months, didn't have an off plan for 6 months, just stuck to the plan. And he made ridiculous gains. And granted, he is a professional bodybuilder and all he does is bodybuild. But if you hold yourself to that standard, in any means, whatever stage of the process you are going to make some ridiculous changes. So it's a good example to lead by, you know, to think of. Stick to the plan, and then the plan can be altered when it needs to be. It's not going to remain stagnant, and just live through it and just see what happens. Generally, trusting someone who has your best interest at heart, even if you don't really know where it's going, is going to lead to better results, because you haven't got a clue of what you're going to look like when you get there, but they do. They know more than you. And that's why you hire them, for their consultancy, you know. Hence why consultants make so much fucking money. And good online coaches. That's a pretty gnarly bit there. I'm not sure I'm going to get another one out of that. It's a bit awkward. Alright, Captain America style. Not that I've actually seen, I've just seen the reference on TikTok. Like, oh, dude, he rips apart a log. It's like, yeah, it's doable. Just it's pretty awkward. As I just said, pretty awkward. There we go. Not particularly sexy, was it? You know, I think there's this whole fantasy of, especially on TikTok online, I love guys that do manual labour. It's like, yeah, have you ever met one? Have you ever met a labourer? They're sound blokes, don't get me wrong. Lovely chaps. But I don't think the ladies that imagine they would like them actually would when they meet them, you know. And now we get on to relationships. That's not a good topic for YouTube, but it is fucking interesting. Not that I know much about this. Although I do, but I don't want to talk about it. I don't know. When it comes to guys and gals, in terms of what we like and don't like, there's definitely sort of this, I don't know, men like looking at shit, women like thinking about stuff. That's where I'll put it. Don't fall off now. Just a little bit like that. It's the thing about manual labour. You need to make it as easy as possible, really. Otherwise, it's just a pain in the ass. Right, I can't remember what I was fucking talking about. Yeah, refinement. That was it. That was what I was on about. How this is the harder path than just getting huge. I mean, getting huge has its own challenges. Diet needs to be pretty solid. I mean, so does mine, but digestion is a big component. If your digestion is fucked, you're just going to get fat very quick, and you're going to feel horrible doing it. You're going to the toilet all the time, which is not fun. Having been there, having done that, even though my digestion was okay, I was still just on the toilet all the time. That's going to come down to food choices more than anything. You want it. The thing is, especially when you work on a macro basis, you want to eat what you want to eat, and the problem is you only know the things you know. There's plenty of foods out there which are going to be better for you. You might think you don't like them, but it's only because you haven't tried them or been shown how to make them properly, or you might be completely oblivious to it. So when people say there's no secret, there's no magic pill, there's no secrets, but there are things you're completely naive to that really fucking help. So I don't like the whole, it's not useful. People are looking for information, and to say, you know, when people are asking the wrong questions is the problem. You know, like, what's the one thing that helps you progress? Well, it wasn't one thing, it was the cumulative effect of everything at once, all done properly and in a fashion that led towards a goal that was prescribed beforehand. So this whole, like, what's the one exercise that grew your chest? Like, no one exercise did that. It was all of them together in the consistent fashion over a long period of time. So the problem is with the industry is everybody wants immediacy, they want ease, they want one word answer. They don't want an essay, but they need an essay, and they need to learn how to read an essay. Because, you know, it's the same with academics. The one-word answer's not fucking useful. The thing you need to do is be able to construct a good argument. So you've got to be able to construct a good fucking answer to the question. And if the question is misspecified, based upon the information you've just received, you might need to re-specify the question, rather than worrying about what the answer is, because your question might just be miles off. Hence, why when I do the Q&As, and people ask me a dumb question, they probably, well, I mean, they definitely don't know it's stupid, otherwise they wouldn't have asked it. So, I get it when people say to me, like, why do you treat people like shit? It's like, I don't treat people like shit, I show them that their question was misspecified or was wrong, or the way they're thinking about things is bad, because if I don't tell them, who the fuck is going to? And it's almost from a point of view of like, yeah, you get to have a bit of a laugh when you're doing it, but at the same time, it's like, look, if you don't learn now, you're going to have other people properly laugh at you, and it's not going to be a learning experience. Sometimes learning experiences, well, not even sometimes, a lot of the time, learning experiences are difficult and come with a heap of embarrassment. So I try to not provide embarrassment, but I try to show if a question is stupid, why it's dumb. So I'm not just, I mean, I am being a cunt, but it's in a useful way. So if somebody wants to tell me if I'm doing this wrong, they can go ahead. But it seems to work. Right, more log. This is turning into another fucking long talk video, which I'm happy to do. It just depends how much editing Spooner wants. The problem with me is I can talk for the fucking world to myself. Which sort of, does that indicate what kind of childhood I had? I don't know. Or I've got ADHD or something. Probably not, I can concentrate quite well. Just on one thing at a time. So I don't, maybe that's not ADHD at all, because they can't concentrate on anything for any period of time. So maybe I'm autistic. Why am I trying to figure out what my personality is? Just don't worry about it unless it's an issue. And it's not been an issue yet. Unless you count my dating life as well. Oh my days. Right, this was... Oh, it's like bloody world's strongest man or something. This is not what log lift looks like. That is very bouncy, very spongy. Looks like it's going to be an absolute pain. Oh well. As Simon instructed, start at one end and go towards the other. So we'll see how good my aim is. It's not very good. Bit of crack. There it is. Boof! That's nice and clean through the middle. It's just much more inconvenient. Generally, the things that look cool are entirely inconvenient. Hence being a bodybuilder. Looks good, very high maintenance. For a relatively low maintenance personality man, my physical life is incredibly high maintenance. But if you view it as high maintenance, you will never achieve it. Ow. Good list there. I think it's one of those things, isn't it? You're gonna be a bodybuilder. You gotta be comfortable doing the shit you gotta do. Dieting, feeling hungry, feeling full, which hopefully we're trying to dispel that. That's trying to go. But there's definitely gonna be cycles, as well as actual cycles, but like cycles in the theory of bodybuilding, as there is always. You know, at the minute, obviously I'm doing it. It's definitely that whole thing of like main gaining, whereas you're still gaining weight, just very slowly. Smaller deficit, don't need to put a stack on weight, but I'm not looking to get huge now. I'm not looking to put on 10, 20 kilos of stage weight. So this is appropriate for me, whereas guys who are obviously open guys, they still want to maintain good condition, but you've got to get fucking massive at the end of the day. I just mean in terms of the school of thought, school of thought on bodybuilding is there's ebbs and flows. Some years it will be, you got to get fucking fat, in order to grow. Other years is stay lean. Same with dieting. Do it quickly, do it slowly. What drugs to take, when to take them, how much to take. It constantly evolves. And the guys, generally that do the best, are the ones that stick to things they're told to do. Because there are so many methods out there in terms of doing all of these things. You just have to pick one and go at it. And if it works, then it works. If you stick to it, generally, it's going to work because you have belief in it and you're going to execute it efficiently. If you're constantly doubting your methodology, whether it be in training, dieting, then you're never going to finish it. It's like guys I have that don't want a training program, but they want a diet plan. I'm like, well, it works together. And then they're like, oh, I want to put this in. I'm like, yeah, but you already, say if they're like, oh, I want to do more legs. You already have huge legs, you need more arms. And it's just this whole outward perception that they're correct, but they want to change everything. They want to change their physique, but what they're doing is already the right thing. And you've got to say to them, no, you need to change your outlook and have some fresh eyes on your physique and listen to them. But yeah, I've moved away from what I was actually talking about, which was the changes in bodybuilding in terms of what people think is appropriate year on year. But I think that comes from people observing what, say, a champion did or the pros did the year before, and then adopting it regardless of their own position and what they need to do with their own physique compared to what somebody else did with theirs. So I think there's a lot of that. I mean, a lot of the sport, even in the business of the sport, is copying, I won't say copying, emulation, because ultimately the same shit sells. So why wouldn't you emulate? Why wouldn't you seek to do that, you know, in order to see success because somebody else has done it and seen success? I think, I've said it before, but I think it's an exciting time in British bodybuilding at the minute. There's a lot of current talent out there. There's a lot of the young guys coming up who will be future talent, and there's a lot coming out the UK. There's a lot coming out the US, but I think the UK will certainly have its time very soon in terms of people winning the Olympias. And that'll be very interesting and very exciting because we've already got world's strongest men that are British. They are Scottish. He is Scottish. Obviously he'll be Scottish before he's British, but still, as I'm generally, well, I'm half Welsh, half English, so I just call myself British. So whatever. I'm not putting myself in that bracket at all in terms of winning things because I've not won anything. Well, I won Mr. University in 2018, doesn't really count. But yeah, whatever. Exciting times for British sport in terms of our niche underground sports of strongman, bodybuilding, powerlifting, all that shit. Splitting logs on the internet. So yeah, all fine and dandy, really. I'm umming and ahhing about whether to get the new Call of Duty. I've heard the multiplayer's good. I've not played a Call of Duty game since Modern Warfare, the new Modern Warfare, not COD 4. COD 4. COD 6. But don't know where to get it. 70 quid for a new game is a lot of money, especially as God of War's come out, and that's realistically mandatory to own for any self-respecting PlayStation owner. Kratos would not be happy with my inability to split this. Sorry, James. Video games. I've mentioned it before, but I've been distracted on my phone rather than video games, which is kind of bad. I will start Twitch at some point. I just need to. The thing is, you always want to be a fucking perfectionist with it. You want the camera set up, you want everything perfect. All I need to do is just like have a Twitch account, log in on my PS5, and put a mic on. It's that simple. To begin with, just start. I think it's with anything. It doesn't. You don't. If you want to start something, just begin at the bottom level, and don't worry about it being perfect. Right, with YouTube, I don't need this to be perfect. I just need to put stuff out, and it'll get better with time. So, as B-tech as this might turn out to be, it is what it is. I think obviously bodybuilding gets sexualized a lot, but like when we're backstage, that's the furthest thing you're thinking about is sex. Most of you haven't fucking had a wank in like 2 months anyway. Got no fucking sex drive, that's a bloke. So having people do that and be like, oh, you know, chatting about how fit you are, you're just like, I don't care. Even my girlfriend, I haven't had sex with her in months. So why would I want to have sex with you of all people, you fucking weirdo? I don't know what it is with YouTube at the minute. I find it difficult to watch fitness content these days because it's dull. It's all the same shit. And not to say that the friends that I have that have YouTube channels and make YouTube videos I don't watch, because I do watch it because I want to know what they're up to and I enjoy watching it. But like the majority of shit that comes from bodybuilders, I just can't be arsed with because it's vlogging. It's all the same stuff. It's relatively boring. It's like I'm doing the exact same thing as you. I don't need a reference point. I get that some guys want a reference point to base theirs off, so it's like I get that some people feed off that, but I think with my own personality, I like to be a little bit different. I don't know whether that's an ego thing or not, but it's it just doesn't excite me. I'm watching it and I'm like, unless it even show day vlogs, fuck me. When I was in prep, I didn't want to watch anything fitness related. I was like, just get me away from it. Because I was just like, oh, I need to relax, get my head out of bodybuilding. But that's probably why I just don't watch that much of it. I watch James's stuff, I watch Connor's stuff, I watch when Marv brings stuff out, I watch Marv's stuff. Occasionally watch a Brandon video. There's loads of guys I do watch, but like, I don't know. I've got back into it as of late, but for a while I was just not arsed. I think it's just because it's all the same shit. And I think as well, the interesting part of YouTube a while ago was when people started talking about their gear use, and now everybody talks about it. So it's sort of got a bit stale, a bit quick. And as soon as you learn about that stuff, you already know what people are going to be taking anyway, when you get to a certain point. So it's like not even interesting anymore. It's like, yeah, 300 test, fucking 300 mass, 600 plus primo up to a gram. And then this is for a prep cycle. That could even be an actual off-season cycle, but you probably wouldn't be using both mass and primo. But there we go. Maybe a little bit NPP, a bit of fucking tren if you like it. But yeah, it's just full fucking. It's all the same. So I get a bit bored. Ow! And the other fucking shit. I love how I saw that one coming. I could have moved my leg and I didn't. But I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm doing shit like this and filming it, because it's a little bit different rather than just the same old workouts. But I know people want to see it. People want to see how you work out, and I put it on Instagram, and it's useful, and it's fun, and I like posting it. So there we go. And it's good to assess your own form and how hard you're actually working. So I get it. It's fun. And I need to film my food because people are interested. But I find that shit really boring because I'm eating the same shit all the time. So for me, it's boring, but for other people, insightful. As I said before, it's the stuff you don't know. Everybody fucking knows about cream of rice, but I didn't know how to make it until like this year. So you know, another one of those things. It can be difficult. And only recently did I start eating it again because obviously I got bored of it on prep, and then I started eating it and realised how I actually like to make it. So more things to talk about when that time comes for that. But yeah, just need to get back into it really. But that's why doing stuff like this is useful, because it gets you away from it when you need to get away from it. That's why video games are useful, because they get you away from it when you need to get away. And playing golf and all that shit. I've done that recently. Been too busy with the online coaching life. So, especially as my dad plays golf midweek on a Tuesday, I'm like, that's a work day for me. So, don't really have the time for that one. But, I don't know at the minute as well. I've sort of, when I was living in London and on prep, you obviously spend a lot because prep brain wants some satisfaction. That's pretty much done. So you end up spending a lot of money on shit you don't need, like shoes. And I've reined it in a lot recently. So I'm just finding, especially like I don't really feel like I can justify a membership for a golf club. They're not that expensive, but I just don't feel I'd get out enough and use it. I don't have the urge, no itch at the minute to go and do it, but the itch to grow my business. So I'd rather be doing that and feeling accomplished that way, rather than trying to make my handicap better. Although going to the driving range is a good substitute. So yeah, that's on my Instagram too. I was talking about this to someone the other day actually. When I was younger, parents got me and my sister elocution lessons because my mother didn't want us to have a northern accent. But it just means I can now do all the fucking accents. That was close. Because I learned how to speak. So backfired really, that one. Although I did talk like this, so really it didn't. It did well. Bloody mountain of wood I've created. Look on ye mighty and despair. This is why you should definitely fucking stack this properly and not just split everything and then wait until it builds up to a huge pile. It's another allegory for life really, isn't it? But at the end of the day it looks cool. So what's better, form over function? I think a lot of us would agree with that. You know, it's like, why'd you buy a Lamborghini? Well, because it's cool. You don't buy it because it's functional. I'm not saying I'm a Lamborghini, or this pile of wood is a Lamborghini, but the comparison is there. So I'm going to make it. Come on. There we go. Tell you what, I was obviously in Gloucester this weekend. Just some driving. I love a good drive. You also discover like new music on it. Tell you what, Whitney Houston, fuck me, never gave Big Witters a proper listen to until recently. She got some belters. She got some set pipes in there, that lady, or did, because she's dead. Them painkillers, people. But there we go. Whatever. Enjoying myself some Whitney Houston. Yeah, I want to dance with somebody. I want to feel the heat with somebody. Saving all my love for you. What a tune, Jesus. I'm into the proper soppy shit at the minute. Maybe that's a reflection upon mood. But no, loving that. Obviously my yacht rock has been all over Instagram. God, I'm rambling. Chatting absolute bollocks. While splitting logs. Maybe this is what this should be called. Although logs and bollocks. I mean, it works. That does work. It's got all the sexual innuendo you need. Although it is very similar to bodybuilding and bollocks, which I think would be a little rip-off. So, logs and balls is just a bit abrasive. Because I've not got any balls as I'm on gear. No, they come back. We're all good. Plus, I'm on TRT, so I'm not really I do need to do a video like once a week, really. I don't think the shirt's going to be off for much longer if it stays, if it gets any colder, which I don't know if it will, until maybe like February's usually fucking cold. December's usually quite mild. Discussion of the weather on this channel as well. We do the small talk as well as the big talk. Oh, I think that's the thing though, isn't it? Like, small talk is so dull. I know it's like a necessary part of life to get on with people, but if you can only small talk people, then you'll never be friends with them. Because you have to be able to chat about your life and bullshit in order to become friendly with somebody. You can't just be like, oh, the traffic was heavy today. Because that's boring as fuck. You can say that to, that's the shit you talk about to somebody's like, you know, you don't know somebody's parents very well or something, or like a work colleague who's a fucking nonce or something. Not that I knew any nonces, but you know what I mean. We use the word nonce interchangeably with like other things. In that inference, I'm a bit boring. Not actually fucks kids. So yeah, that's the great thing about the British language. You can just use any word you like to describe somebody, and it's going to come across in probably the right way. Say we're getting drunk. That's an old Michael McIntyre joke. He's not funny anymore. He probably wasn't funny in the first place. When I was younger, I found him very hilarious. No. There we go. 4:30, I need to go check the dog's chicken. We've got 10 bloody minutes. And it starts going dark again. So we've got much longer. So if you're bored, Spinner, there's not much longer. Oh, I'm working up a bloody appetite doing this. Probably do my cardio after this, actually. I know this is technically cardio, but I've done no steps today, barely any. Or I can just go do these as well. I can just take a torch. I'll see what I'm feeling. Tell you what, been watching Andor. Recently got Disney Plus, because I've never actually had my own Disney Plus. I've always borrowed it. Fuck me, it's good. I know the first few episodes are pretty boring, but it's a spy drama. It's not supposed to be all action all the time. I think it does a really good job in showing what it's like to live under. Obviously they're space Nazis, so a fascist regime. And it just does like the whole inner workings of the thing and the administrative side of all the bullshit and all the terror. It's very interesting. It's well acted, well cast. It's fucking well written. The sets are amazing. How did that occur on that project? But Kenobi, they made him incompetent and boring and shit and annoying. I just don't understand how something that can be produced by the same company, in effect, can make two vastly different TV shows, and one is so much more interesting and better than the other when you're dealing with like some of the biggest characters in the Star Wars system series, and then you're just dealing with Cassian Andor, who's from Rogue One, sorry, who's runny nose. So I just don't know how you fuck it up that badly. Granted, the last two episodes were Kenobi were good, but only because they gave him his powers back. But why can nobody catch a fucking 5-year-old girl who starts running? I don't know. Also, for someone who's like, what's 5 or 10 or some shit? 10. They gave her far too much credit for being smarter than she is, because no 10-year-old is like that. It's just all of it. I know it's fucking Star Wars and it's fucking set in a sci-fi universe and it's all unrealistic, but like, the Andor thing is actually has some realism to it and some stakes, because anybody could get fucking murdered in that show. Whereas the thing was with Kenobi, we already know the bloody history of the whole thing, so it's pretty stakeless at the end of the day. So it's quite boring, really. The only thing you have to watch out for was like the villains getting murdered by the other fucking villains. Even the Grand Inquisitor bloke that they tried to show had died, we all knew wasn't dead, because if you've read any of the, or know anything about Star Wars, know that he's not dead at that point. So you're just like, right, okay, cool. That was worthless. Anyway, Star Wars rants. God, this is going to be a long description, isn't it, in the video? It's going to be like chopping wood, chatting shit, talking about random shit in Star Wars. Well, hey. Ooh! That almost twatted me in the head. It's like Rings of Power. I've also not watched that. Just don't want to. I just didn't get on with it. I know some people love it, but the people that love it don't know that much about Lord of the Rings. So it's one of those that people are like, oh, just don't go into it with like, oh, the Lord of the Rings mentality. It's like, oh, but they changed loads of stuff in the films. Yeah, but the films were good. The films are good. This is shit. Trying to excuse shit really pisses me off. It's like, oh, but they changed loads of stuff for the movies. It's like, yeah, they got rid of some of the dross out of Tolkien's work. For this, they've added in an exponential amount of dross and not streamlined it. There's not even that much stuff on the Second Age, and what they've done is taken the stuff they had and then just made up a load of shit which doesn't make sense. At least the stuff in Peter Jackson's stuff which is made up does make sense. Like, ugh. It's not an excuse, you're just comparing things that are bad and like in a way that is nonsensical. And you're just like, just look, it's shit. I don't care if you enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it. And you're like, no, but I did, so you have to too. And it's like, no, I don't. I can acknowledge it's terrible. You're just trying to make excuses. Oh, but I enjoyed it. Cool. You're allowed to enjoy it. I'm also allowed to have not enjoyed it. Like the Elvis movie. I thought it was shit. But some people are like, no, it's really good. I was like, well, it's wank. Didn't show how much of a pedo Elvis was. Or did it? I don't even know. I was on prep, I was barely paying attention, really. Just like people watching this, they're probably barely paying attention as well. I know, when I stick on YouTube, I barely pay attention. It's just background noise at this point. Me slapping logs away, background noise. At least I'm aware you're just going to have this video on in the background while you're like cooking or eating or, I don't know, shagging. That would be weird. You got YouTube on where you're just going away at it. I'm just trying to rip some logs apart and you're just smashing your partner. Well, hey. It's just a fourth wall break completely here, isn't it? Do you reckon this equates to a James doing his rollerblading videos? Do you reckon it's a good comparison, or do you think that's not? It's not really a hobby, this, because it is manual labour. Unless people want to start sending me axes out for free, which I don't see why they would need to, because it's still going to do the same thing as this. So, and it's not exactly very technically minded. I'm just using pieces of wood and now breaking it in half or into segments. So, yeah, it's all very easy. And here's what it is. It is going dark though, so we might have to call it a day quite soon. As I'll go sort the dog's chicken out.
It's not in focus. I don't know if I can make it focus. I probably can't. Nah, whatever.
Right. We should do one more log, and then I think I'll call it a day, because it's going to go dark, and we don't want to be swinging around sharp implements in the dark. I know it's Halloween and all, but that's outside. I mean, it's pretty dangerous in the films, but in real life there are consequences, and not just that the couple that want to have sex get killed first along with the black guy. So, you know, we've got to be careful. Because to be honest, I'm not a couple that's having sex, and I'm definitely not a black guy. So I think I'll probably be safe until the point right near the end of the film. And then it's usually between me, the white guy, being the saviour, versus the sort of realistic, attractive female lead as to who survives. And in all likelihood, because I'm more or less going to be cast as the jock type character because of the way I'm built, I'll probably get murdered. So